Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Today we are going to start our chapter number 2, Methods of Research. This is our fourth lecture of psychology, and we are going to start this second chapter. Okay, the main topics of this chapter include meaning and significance of research and types of research methods. There are four types of research methods: observation method, experimental method, survey method, and case study method. In today's lecture, we are going to study meaning and significance of research and the first research method, that is observation method. We are going to discuss this method in detail. Okay, let's start the lecture. Meaning and definition of research. What is research? Dear students, all branches of knowledge collect data in their own ways. Collection of information requires research and a lot of hard work and labor. The process of reaching the truth through investigation into the events and material is called research. To put it differently, we can say that research refers to the search for truth. Research is a process in which we search for truth. We go for for collection of data to prove our statements, to prove our hypothesis. Okay, the search for facts is conducted in almost all departments and spheres of life. The gathering of facts is followed by a thorough study of them. In science, we gather facts, and this gathering of facts requires a thorough research, a thorough hard work, and a thorough study. For example, we can say that doctors diagnose diseases, different legal experts and policemen inquire into the crimes, and meteorologists gather information about weather, and so on. In fact, all these people are looking for truth. All these people are doing research to find truth in their own fields. Okay? The people who remain engaged in such tasks are called researchers. The people who gather facts, who who are involved in the thorough study to reach the truth, are known as researchers. Okay, though different researchers adopt different ways to find out the facts, what they all aim is actually research. Okay, they may use different tools, they may use different methods, but their basic aim is to find the truth, their basic aim is to search for truth, their basic aim is research. Okay, so we can say that research is the soul of every branch of knowledge, and no science can progress without it. With the passage of time, new discoveries come to light, and pre existing facts are denied, and new facts and new figures are given by the practitioners. Okay, so research involves the study and exploration of facts lying hidden in some event or situation. But at the same time, it involves a careful, objective, and critical approach that helps in finding the relationship between cause and effects or deductions. Okay? In research, we are finding the relation between cause and effect. That what is the cause of certain behavior, or what is the cause of certain event, and what will be the effect of certain behavior. Yeah, what are independent and dependent variables, and so on. We are going to discuss all these things in this chapter later on. Okay, so study or research is a continuous process which begins when some problem comes, and it continues until the discovery of its causes and effects. ठीक है? A continuous process, research is a continuous process of adaptation and reworking. We are continuously reworking, retesting, and gathering the facts and information about the relevant problem, I can say. Okay, so this was the definition of research. Now we come to the significance of research. What is the importance or significance of research? The importance of research is very much self evident in every field of life, or every field of psychology, or every field of any field of knowledge, I can say. For example, um if a teacher adopts a variety of ways to maintain interest of the students, or a housewife tries new dishes to improve the taste and nutrition, this all comes under a process of research. Everybody is in the process of research. Everybody is researching, gathering information, and testing the new statements, new hypotheses, new techniques. Okay, so the purpose of research is to inform action, and thus our studies should seek to contextualize its findings within the larger body of research. Research must always be of high quality in order to produce knowledge that is applicable outside of the research setting as well. ठीक है? What does this mean? It means that our findings should be applicable somewhere else also. When we research, then this research, this gathering of information and data should be applicable to the other research settings as well, not only on a particular phenomenon or problem. In fact, the more research we do, the more we can do with our lives. Okay, the more we do research, the more creative results will occur, the more creative things will be produced. This is the basic significance of research. Okay, now we come to methods of research. As I told you earlier, there are four methods of research, and in today's lecture we are going to discuss the first method, that is observational method. Okay, so what is observational method? Before starting or before going into the detail, let us discuss what is observation. What does observation means? Okay? Observation, what is observation? Observation means to watch something carefully or to examine it. Okay? The methods of research and study which are applied in psychology are all based on observation. Psychology is based on observation. Observation itself is not a method, we can say, but it plays a very important role in research methods. Observation helps us to gather information about different factors. Okay? Observation is the technique of collecting information. So, what is observation? It is the method of collecting information about all the aspects of a problem. Observation can be simple, it can be complex, or formal or informal. There are different ways of conducting observation. So, on the basis of nature and objectives, the observation falls into the following types. Number one, introspection. Number two, external observation. Number three, internal observation. So, we are going to discuss these types one by one in detail. Okay, so let's discuss what is introspection. Okay, what is introspection? Introspection is self observation, analysis of one's own mental thoughts, mental processes, or cognitive processes. It refers to the direct study of the individual of his own mental process. We directly study our own mental process at the present moment, at the conscious level. Every person can examine his mental processes in a better way, and he can convey them accurately. Okay, a normal person is able to convey his mental processes in a very normal and accurate way. Every person can examine his thoughts. It is because mental states are subjective and no one else can have access to them. Our mental thoughts are our own, and no other person can analyze those thoughts or have an access to them. Knowing about the states that go on in the mind all the time is called introspection. Knowing about our mental states, knowing about our cognitions is the process of introspection. In introspection, we analyze our thoughts. Is it clear? Okay. In other words, we can say that we can have an accurate information about individual subjective states from any other source than the individual himself. We cannot get information about the mental thoughts of a person other than the person himself. A person can tell his thoughts precisely and accurately. So, the study of all mental states, all such mental states, is known as introspection. In the early scientific period, Wilhelm Wundt and Edward Bedford Titchener, these two are the structuralists, they introduced the process of introspection and they employed this method in their lab. Wundt was the first experimental, Wundt was the person, Wundt was the physiologist or psychologist who introduced the first psychology lab in 1879 in Germany, and he introduced this introspection method in his lab. Okay, advantages. What are the advantages of introspection? Introspection, okay, number one, access to mind. This method provides an access to the mind of individual. We can analyze the thought process of an individual. We can say that except for introspection, no other method can give us indication of individual's feelings, emotions, his thoughts, his perceptions, and so on. So, the basic advantage, the initial advantage is that it gives access to the mind, to the feelings, emotions, thoughts, perceptions, memories of an individual. Secondly, introspection helps in diagnosis of mental disorders. As introspection gives access to the mind, so we can diagnose the mental illnesses. And then we can provide solutions to those mental illnesses, to those mental conflicts. Number three, immediate measures. Okay, the individual's mental processes can be studied or can be analyzed through this method of introspection, and the problems can be analyzed, and we can take immediate measures to solve those problems or to modify those irrational thoughts or to modify those thoughts or to modify the behavior of individual. It gives immediate measures because immediately we come to know about the mental process of individual. Next advantage is easy method. This introspection process is an easy method. It is a simple method and an easy method. Anyone who knows language, anyone who has an insight can understand and accurately describe the mental states. Okay. Next advantage is that introspection is economical. We do not need any sort of apparatus, tools, or lab settings or control conditions to apply introspection method. This is economical and we can apply it anywhere, anytime. Another advantage is that it is effortless. It do not requires so much of effort, rather it can be carried out individually. Individual gives direct response of his mental states without any effort. We can show a simple stimulus and then we can analyze the thoughts of individual regarding the stimulus. Okay, basis for external observation. Another advantage of introspection is that it provides basis for external observation as well. How? Because when a person or an individual responds to a situation in a particular way, we come to know that which mental state is accompanied by that behavior. We can analyze, we can analyze the external behaviors, and we can analyze the mind through his behavior. We can analyze his behavior through his mental processes, and we can analyze his mental processes through his behavior. So introspection has so many advantages, and this is a very much valid method, but at the same time there are certain disadvantages of this method. Number one, this is an unscientific method. How this is an unscientific method? Because the reports given by an individual, or the verbal report about his mental thoughts, cannot be verified by other means. What an individual is saying or telling or expressing about his mental thoughts cannot be analyzed or verified scientifically because no one has an access to them. We cannot analyze, a person can analyze himself. Although every individual has mental processes, the way he perceives, the way he feels about a problem is subjective to him. Okay? A problem may be a very serious matter to one person at the same time, but it can be a very very normal for the other person. Hence, introspection, we can say that it is unscientific and it can vary from person to person and can vary from time to time. The next disadvantage is that it is changeable. Mental processes are continuous. Okay? Mental states can change. At one time, you are feeling good about a certain stimulus, at the same time, you can feel bad about that stimulus. So, mental states are changeable. So, we cannot rely only on introspection because mental states are changing. They are changing. A person can like something at the same at a particular time, and he can dislike that thing at the other time. It depends. Okay, another disadvantage is that it is limited. It is limited because it studies the conscious part of mind only. Introspection works on conscious part of mind. So we are denying, or we cannot reach the subconscious or unconscious part of mind because introspection is the immediate awareness of an individual. And if we are analyzing his thoughts by presenting him with certain stimulus, so we are unable to analyze the subconscious and unconscious processes. Another disadvantage is that abnormal individuals cannot be studied through introspection. How? Because they are unable to give responses about their feelings and thoughts. This is another disadvantage, that abnormal individuals cannot express their thoughts, so introspection is not applicable to them. We cannot learn about the thoughts or mental states of abnormal people through this method. Another disadvantage is that this method cannot give access to the mind or mental states of children as well and animals as well. Okay, so these were the disadvantages. Upgradation, different physiologists, especially Tishner and Wound, suggested different ways through which introspection can be made more useful and more practical. Okay, how? Number one, training. Better results can be achieved by training the individuals under study in how to give responses. Sometimes, if we are applying introspection on a particular person, and if he is not instructed properly that how he has to respond, so this process will not be fruitful. There should be proper training before starting the process because everybody is not so good in giving response, in giving verbal responses. So proper training of an interest of the person who is doing introspection and the subject both need proper training. Okay, Reliable client. If reliable clients are selected for introspection, the shortcomings of the process can be removed. If the clients cooperate, if they take great care to describe the observation, and they don't involve any sort of negativity or prejudices, or they are not shy, or they are not expressing, then the results will be valid. So, reliable client are selected for introspection. Repetition. Okay. If introspection is applied to more than one client and observations are compared repeatedly, so solid results can be made. Repetition gives solid results. Another upgradation method, immediate reporting. If the findings or the results about the state, which is the subject of introspection, are set out immediately, better information can be gathered. Okay, dear students, despite of all these precautions, all these measures, introspection alone is not sufficient. Okay, it has to be supplemented with any other method. Okay, this was all about introspection. Okay, the second type of observation is now, the first was introspection, now we come to external observation. What is external observation? The second important method of collecting information in psychology is the external information, external observation, sorry. The first method was introspection. First method of observation was introspection, and introspection was self observation. Second method is external observation. In this method, psychologists carry out scientific study of the mental processes and behaviors of individuals. Psychologists or the experimenters note individuals' actions and their mental factors as well. This is external observation. We analyze the actions as well as the external environment as well. And we also see the psychologists also see or pay attention to the circumstances under which the client is displaying a certain behavior in relation to the problem which is uh, being studied. Sometimes more than one psychologist take part in the observation. In this method, it is not the individual's internal changes only which matter, but we also study the reactions and external behavior of individual as well. So, what is called external observation is basically the method of behavioral observation. We observe the external behavior of individuals, and for this, more than one psychologist um, can be working. We are studying the behavior of individual in response to particular stimulus or in a proper environmental setting. How environment is affecting his behavior. Clear? So there are certain advantages of this external observation method as well. Number one, it is a scientific method. How? External observation is a scientific method because it makes it possible to observe others' external behavior objectively. This is scientific method because we can objectively analyze his external behavior. Secondly, access to client's mind. This external observation method give access to client's mind, client's mental processes, because we know that mental states or mental processes are manifested in external behavior. Okay, mind and body are working together in collaboration. So what is going inside the mind is actually manifested in the behavior, is actually shown and expressed in external behavior. So, this process gave access to client's mind as well. External observation or the observation of his external behavior also gives us access to his mind. This method has wide scope, yes. Through this method, clients with mental disorders, children or animal can be brought under observation. We can analyze or we can have the analysis of their external behavior. We can analyze, we can observe their external form of behavior, and we can get an access of their thoughts and mind. And one thing more, external observation is also suitable for all those who cannot hide their external behavior. Yes, it has a wide scope because we can, though there are so many people who cannot hide their external behavior, so we can easily analyze, easily observe, and easily know about their mental state or their current thought process. Another advantage is that this method initiated the use of psychological tests as well. Many tests are devised to analyze the individual's abilities, capabilities, skills, like the personality test, intelligence test, attitude test, aptitude test, and so on. For in the light of these tests or in the light of these assessment tools, different psychotherapies have been introduced as well. Okay, so these are the advantages of external observation, that it is scientific method, it gives access to client's mind because mental states and mind is manifested in external behavior. It has a wide scope, it can be applied to anybody, and it also initiated the use of psychological tests and psychotherapies as well. There are certain disadvantages of this method. Incomplete information. Okay, how? This is a useful method to study the behavior of individual we know, but at the same time, when it comes to the study of normal people, this method do not work effectively. How? Because the external behavior changes. Like I said before, external behavior or the mind process is always changing. There is always a flow of thought. At one time, you are approving something, and in some other time, you can disapprove that thing. So sometimes this external observation is incomplete because people can pretend or people can exaggerate their feelings and emotions or behaviors. This was the advantage, that it has a wide scope. We can study animal, children, and humans as well. But a disadvantage is this, that it gives incomplete information because a client can, or a subject can pretend at the same time. It is, it will be therefore, it will be difficult to judge their behavior accurately. If they are pretending something, or if they are exaggerating something, or if they are not expressing their behavior. So this method gives incomplete information. Another disadvantage is that it has a limited scope. How? The external behavior of an individual only tells about his conscious states. For example, if we are observing a behavior of any person at a particular moment, so this external behavior is a result of any particular immediate state. So subconscious and unconscious states do not show up at a particular time. External behavior do not manifest is not the manifestation of any unconscious or subconscious conflict or trait. So it has a limited scope, that it only covers external observation. When we do external observation, it is only covering the immediate conscious aspect of personality. Another disadvantage is that it is a laborious method. It is expensive as well. It takes a number of trained experts and much time to study the subjects. Okay, it takes so much time to study the particular behavior of of an individual, because the behavior changes. External behavior is not always accurate and not always according to our demands. And another disadvantage is that all individuals have all individuals are different. They are individual differences, so um, we cannot generalize the findings. When it comes to analysis and verification of the observation made, this method presents serious difficulties because normal individuals tend to behave differently on different occasions. For example, at one time, an individual takes a thing cheerfully, while at the other time, he may go into rage. Therefore, with this method, we cannot set the same standard for all individuals. Okay, so external observation has advantages and disadvantages both. So, external observation can be improved also. How can we improve the external observation method? By the use of trained experts and qualified experts. If the observer is not trained, if he don't know how to record the observations, so his results will be affected. So trained experts can give better results, can show good results of external observation. Similarly, one client at a time, if one client at a time is taken on for external observation, results will improve. Simultaneous observations are difficult to analyze. Okay, more experts. Okay, with more experts, it is easier to get good results. Brief duration. Okay, external observation should be of brief duration. Instead of extending it over a long period of time, this method should be divided into short periods of time. In this way, the observer can record facts better. Moreover, the client remains fresh and shows good performance. If the duration is not brief, if the duration of observation is long, the client may step back or do not show better results or good performance. Okay, and another upgradation method can be the use of different tools. If experimenter or psychologist use different audio-visual aids to record, then we have the solid proof of the observation. We can later on rewatch it and analyze it better in a better way. Okay, so this was about the first method of research, observation method. Observation method involves three types of observation: introspection, external observation, and now comes the third method, that is natural observation. Okay, what is natural observation? This method aims at the natural and pure reactions of individuals under natural conditions. The client or the subjects are studied under or observed under natural conditions, not in not in a lab or not in any controlled condition, but they are naturally studied. Their natural behavior is studied and recorded. This method directly aims at the natural and pure reactions of individuals. The researcher or the experimenter engages in observation by visiting the particular place, for example, the natural environment in which we are going to study the behavior of individual. He records all the reactions and all the changes very objectively. This method is very effective for the study of children and animal as well, because we cannot control the behavior of animals and children all the time. So natural observation method is a method in which the researcher goes in the field and behaves naturally in the field and observes the natural responses of the subject. Like the other methods, this method also involves a very careful planning so that the subject remains natural, so that the subject remains unaware that he is being noted, so that his behavior is not affected. Okay. The first phase of this method consists of the formulation and elaboration of problem. The first phase is formulation of problem, so that it becomes clear that what we are going to study, what is the actual goal. In other words, questions like which client is to be observed, when and where, and which technique is to be used to record responses, and changes during the observation no longer remain unanswered. Okay. It is also possible for a researcher to hide himself or get engaged in a given condition in disguise, or can use modern gadgets for recording as well. So it is up to the researcher that how he records in the natural setting. Either he disguises and records himself, either he use any gadget for recording or anything else. As you see the programs in Animal Planet and National Geographic, this method is used, natural observation. Okay? The participants do not know that they are being observed and the modern gadgets are being used and their natural behavior is recorded. Okay. Acha. In this method, variables and their effects are defined precisely as well. This is known as operational definition. In operational definition, the explanation of variables corresponds with the way it is to be studied. So before entering the study, entering the proper study and observation, the researcher should first clarify the concepts of the study. This is operational definition. It is because the meanings of the various concepts are relative to the given circumstances. For example, if if we can say that anger is directed on an enemy in boxing or karate, then it is considered good. But if the same anger is directed at parents or teachers or elders, it is considered bad. So, operational definition is must because the variables and their effects are defined precisely. That what we are going to study, what behavior we are going to study, what will be the cause, and what will be the effect. If these are properly defined, then we can uh, objectively give the results. Okay. Types of observation. Types of natural observations. Now, a researcher can be a participant and a non-participant as well. Okay. In participant observation method, the researcher joins some population or a group and thus becomes a part of that environment which is going to be studied. This method is particularly effective for the study of criminal gangs, beggars, drug addicts. Okay. The researcher joins the population, disguises himself, and studies those participants in natural setting. The researcher can himself become a member of that group and behave like them. He wins their trust and give them no occasion to suspect him in any way. Meanwhile, he keeps on recording the information. For example, he pretends to be the addict, to be a drug addict, and then he acts and behaves like them, and then he can judge, analyze, or work on his variables which he's which he is trying to study. Okay, second is the non-participant observation, in which the researcher does not join the population or group, rather studies and observes them while staying aloof from them. For this purpose, latest gadgets, tape recorders, cameras, secret cameras are used in a different way. Documentary films are generally made. An important technique, another important technique in natural observation method is the lost child technique as well. In this, a child of a very tender age is sent through a busy market. He is asked to pretend to have lost his parents. The researcher studies the situation in hiding, noting what type of people approach the child, whether they help him out or just watch the scene. When the situation begins to get out of control, the researcher shows up and thanks the people, saying that they will reunite the child with his parents and so on. Okay, what is the importance of this natural observation? That this setting cannot be created in the lab. Such real and natural reactions can be encountered only in the natural environment. Okay, this is the basic advantage of this natural observation, that we cannot control the reactions in this lab setting. So, in this regard, it is important that observation should be meant to bring about betterment of people, not to deceive or befool them. Okay, so this was the first method of research, the observation method. Okay, and three types of observation which we studied today are introspection method, external observation, and natural observation. So, in the next lecture, we will be studying the second method of research. Till then, have a good time. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.